This video covers the CITI training requirements and process for investigators, faculty sponsors, and study team members engaging in biomedical research, including clinical trials and HIPAA-covered research. If you plan to engage in social, behavioral, or education research activities, please refer to our video on CITI training for SBER. All UCLA key personnel, including the PI, co-investigators, faculty sponsors, research assistants, coordinators, and others engaging in human subjects research activities, must have a current and complete UCLA Human Subjects Research Certification or Good Clinical Practice GCP certification via CITI program prior to inclusion in the research. Training must be complete prior to submission of the IRB application. You may start and stop training at any time, and it may take a few hours to complete the training, including quizzes. So take that into consideration when planning your IRB submissions. We will go over in more detail the process for creating a CITI account, selecting courses based on your research, and how to access help. To get started, visit the CITI website at www.citiprogram.org. If you have previously created a CITI account at another institution, you can log in and affiliate yourself with UCLA, or you can create a new account. Information about affiliating your existing CITI account with UCLA can be found in the description box below this video. To create a new account, select Register, then select your organization affiliation and search for UCLA. You must agree to the terms and certify that you are affiliated with UCLA before logging in with your UCLA single sign-on information. Upon logging in, you will have access to your courses. If this is your first time completing courses affiliated with UCLA, you will need to add courses to get started. To do that, you will need to scroll down to the bottom of your course homepage to add a course. If you simply plan to engage in biomedical research activities, such as, but not limited to, collecting and analyzing specimens, clinical investigations on investigational products, FDA-regulated research, or any HIPAA-covered research activities, including chart reviews, you will need to select the first box only in Section 1. If at any time you think you might have made an incorrect selection, you can select Start Over. Otherwise, select Next. If you want to take your course in English, select No in Section 2. The next part of this section asks whether you will be working with HIPAA-covered records or protected health information, PHI. If you plan to use, access, generate, or share PHI as part of your research, then you will need to complete the one-time UCLA HIPAA training course. If you have already completed the UCLA specific course, or do not need to complete the HIPAA course because you will not access any PHI as part of your research, please make one of the other selections above that best suits your situation. The next question asks whether you will complete Good Clinical Practice GCP training. For some of you, the answer will be no. However, if your sponsor requires completion of GCP training, or if you plan to conduct a clinical trial that meets the NIH's definition, which means if your research activities meet the NIH definition of a clinical trial, meaning you can answer yes to all 4 of these questions, then your response to this question in CITI should be yes to the first option, that you will be conducting a biomedical clinical trial that meets the NIH clinical trial definition. Please note that the current version of the biomedical GCP training course already includes the ICH E6R3 or ICH version 3 requirement included. So there is no need to select the third option, which only applies to those who completed their GCP training prior to the version 3 revision and their sponsor is requiring completion of the ICH requirement. The next question asks about whether the study is FDA regulated. If your research plans to use any FDA-regulated drugs, devices, or products, you should select the second option, indicating you need to complete the CITI FDA-regulated training. For those not engaging in FDA-regulated research, select No. Lastly, you will be asked to verify that you will be completing the human subjects training course, which should be the case if you are not completing GCP training. However, if you previously determined that you will need to complete the Good Clinical Practice GCP training because you are conducting a clinical trial meeting the NIH definition, or your study sponsor requires completion of GCP training, you should indicate yes, you will be completing the GCP training and not the human subjects training course. Ultimately, make the best selection based on the type of research you plan to engage in. Remember, you can always start over if you believe you have made incorrect selections. If you are only completing the human subjects training and not GCP, you will be taken back to your course page where your assigned human subjects training course will appear. For those of you who will be taking the human subjects training course, you should see a list of 83 possible modules within the course. Select any 8 modules. There are no set list of modules you must complete. However, OHRPP recommends taking a mix of the history and purpose of the IRB and a few modules relating to research activities that you will engage in. For example, if you plan to engage in research involving children or another potentially vulnerable population, you should complete a module on that topic. For everyone else completing GCP training only, you will see the training added to your institutional courses on your home page. After you complete all 8 of your selected modules and their accompanying quizzes, or complete your GCP training, you will be able to access your course certificate under the Records tab on your homepage. The training completion certificates may be requested by your sponsor or other entities. The IRB will not ask for your certificates because your CITI training records will automatically sync with your Bruin IRB account. If you need to access your CITI account after the first time, you can log in through your institution. Search for UCLA, then proceed to agree to the terms and log in through your UCLA single sign-on credentials. Finally, here are a few important notes about CITI training. Training is valid for 3 years from the date of completion. If you plan to be actively engaged in your research after that time, you will need to complete the refresher course for either the human subjects training or the GCP training course. If you completed the UCLA research HIPAA training, that is a one-time training that does not expire. CITI training will automatically sync with Bruin IRB within 24 hours. Bruin IRB pulls CITI training information overnight. Therefore, the day that someone completes their training, it will not appear as completed in Bruin IRB until the following day. Incomplete, incorrect, or expired CITI training will prevent application submissions. If you attempt to submit your new IRB application, Bruin IRB will issue a notice that the application cannot be submitted until you complete your training. Incomplete, incorrect, or expired CITI training will also prevent the addition of individuals being added to your study. If you attempt to add someone to your study in Bruin IRB, you will be prevented from completing that addition until those individuals complete their CITI training. It is important that you plan accordingly to allow time for completed training to sync with Bruin IRB and to effectively communicate with others who will be added to your study about completing training in a timely manner. Visit the CITI training page on the OHRPP website for more information. Refer to the description box for the link to this page, which includes more details about training requirements, frequently asked questions, and troubleshooting information. Please visit the OHRPP website at ohrpp.research.ucla.edu. to access resources on this topic and other resources on human subjects research. Thank you for watching.